The New York Mets are basically screwed when it comes to scheduling because we know that the New York Mets had a big West Coast trip in August and it was one of the worst road trips ever. But now the MLB has screwed the New York Mets again. With the weather in Atlanta, the New York Mets are going to have to play a doubleheader on Monday, which is going to be a big doubleheader for the New York Mets, obviously, regarding playoff, implications. So you got the New York Mets losing game 1 in the series, but now the games got postponed for Wednesday and Thursday. So now the New York Mets are going to have to play a doubleheader on Monday with the Atlanta Braves, and those are going to be big 2 games. This completely screws the Mets when it comes to preparation, when it comes to pitchers, because obviously they had their pitchers lined up and now they have to fly out to Milwaukee. So when it comes to the New York Mets, you got to win games. At the end of the day, you got to win games. There's only a few games left in the MLB, but you got to get in. You got to win games. The Diamondbacks won yesterday, so you as the New York Mets team have to win games. And it sucks. It sucks because this screws the Mets. This screws the Mets, and I'm not a fan of this. I don't like that, the MLB, and there's a new stadium in Atlanta. New stadium, and no roof, no nothing. Atlanta, we know it's going to rain. Atlanta has a lot of issues when it comes to rain. But you got to be kidding me with this situation, because this screws the Mets. I don't know where the Mets go from here. I don't know if this affects the Mets' playoff implications. I think it will. I really think it will. This is huge news for the New York Mets because this sucks. This honestly sucks. This is not what you want. Not what you want. You had your pitchers lined up for the Atlanta series and they postponed the series and now they're going to play them in doubleheader. But now you got to fly to Milwaukee for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then play 2 games on Monday. That is screwed up. That is awful. And I don't know what's going to happen with the New York Mets. I don't know what's going to happen. But if this is the reason the Mets don't end up getting to the playoffs, this is going to suck. Because we want the Mets in the playoffs. We want the Mets to win. And this is just awful. It's just awful. You and Carlos Mendoza, the New York Mets, are going to have to pivot to Milwaukee and win games. They're going to have to win games. So it really sucks. The Braves, I think, are going to be facing Kansas City. Kansas City is also a competitive team as well. They want to get into the playoffs as well. There's a few games left. So maybe the Atlanta Braves will lose some games. Maybe the Mets will win some games. But the race is coming up close. We're coming up to not a lot of games. We've only got like 4 or 5 games. Probably 4 games left. So I think the New York Mets, right now as the New York Mets organization, you have 5 games left on the schedule. 5 left games. So you got Milwaukee for 3, and you got 2 games against Atlanta on Monday. And then if they even make the playoffs, they're going to have to go on a West road trip and play on Tuesday? What kind of scheduling is this for the MLB, man? This is awful scheduling. And I get it, the weather, it sucks. The weather sucks. But, man, this screws the Mets. So, I don't know what the Mets are going to do. When you think of the Mets pitching rotation that they had lined up, it was going to be Severino, David Peterson, Sean Manaea, Tyler McGill. Now I don't know who you got. I don't know who's going to play, who's going to pitch in Milwaukee. Maybe it's going to be David Peterson. Maybe he's going to go in the first game on Friday for Milwaukee. But, man, Milwaukee's a good team too. And, yes, they already clinched. But this sucks. It sucks for the New York Mets. This is not what you want. This is not... it's not looking good for the Mets. It's not. But what I will say about the Mets is they've been resilient all year. All year they've been resilient. So this is the time to lock in if you're the New York Mets. You need to lock in. You need to win games. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if Atlanta is going to lose to Kansas City. So you got to win games, and you got to keep on winning games. You got to win the most games that you possibly can. Obviously, those 2 games on Monday, it's going to be big. But now you got to focus your attention on Milwaukee for 3 games. And Milwaukee's a good team. Yes, they already clinched. And I know people are saying, oh, they clinched already. So it's not going to be that hard to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. It's still a really good team. Even though they clinched, I'm sure they're going to be playing for the record competitively. So it's not like it's going to be an easy sweep for the New York Mets, because that's not happening. But if it does, then that will help the Mets, of course. But man, the Mets got to win games. The Mets have to win games. Plain and simple. The Mets have to win games. And this is just an awful situation when it comes to the MLB. It really is. I'm not a fan of this. I don't like this. And this is why this is why MLB needs to, make some roofs. Put some retractable roofs. Because this sucks. We know it's going to rain in Atlanta. Every time I drive by Atlanta, it rains. Every time. So this is not surprising. And it sucks for the Mets that this had to happen now. It sucks. Because I wanted to see these games. I wanted to see what the Mets had, what they had against Atlanta. And we're going to see it, but we're going to see it on Monday. We got to wait all the way to Monday for them to play in Atlanta. It sucks. This sucks. Let me know what you guys think about the schedule. What do you guys think about the situation? Because I'm not a fan of this. I am not. And this is a failure on MLB's part. This is not good. This is not what you want if you're a baseball fan. It's not. And a Mets fan, this is not what you want. This is not. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But now you got to focus your attention to Milwaukee. And you got to win games. So that's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed, definitely do me a favor. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. This is Randy with the All Things Mets channel, where you get your latest Mets media. And I'm out of here, man. Stay blessed. Have a good one.